Chumripsu. The first, I would like to say hello to everybody that watch me right now all together. Welcome back to me again. And this is my second channel and my second presentation video that I post in social media to share to all of you guys all together. Maybe a lot of people knew about me already, about my last presentation that I gave to all of you guys already that have the title is Being a Good Child is Brilliant for Your Family. So today, I will give you a new presentation that I have found a lot of opinion and found a lot of ideas that related to this topic to share to all of you guys here today. So, I want all of you guys to watch this video until the end to know about my countries all together. Because my topic that I will give a presentation here today is related to my country that I put the title is Cambodia is an interesting country in the world. So a lot of people, how much that you can know about Cambodia? Can you share some interesting point and some adjective point in Cambodia to me? Please watch this video until the end altogether. As we know, all the countries all over the world always have different things from each other. And all of those countries as well always have their own interesting and their own attractive things in their country. Among all of these countries, Cambodia is such an interesting country because we can attract all of the people all over the world want to visit our country really much. So today, I will give you a lot of interesting points in Cambodia, such as living, history, nature, character, temple, culture, traditional, food, and other so on. So please go with me with my first point altogether. First, the interesting point in Cambodia is living. Living in Cambodia, we divide into two parts. The first, living in the city, and the second, living in the countryside. So a lot of Cambodian people they like to live in the city really much because they think that they're easy to live with a lot of modern things around them, easy to work, by make a business, work in industry, or work in a company and other so on. They're easy to live and easy to work, and especially they have all the modern life as well. But on the other hand, a small part of Cambodian people they like to live in the countryside also because it is fresh, calm, and not noisy. So I want to tell all of you guys that both living in the city and both living in the countryside always give a lot of Cambodian people advantage and disadvantage like each other, and always easy to live like each other as well. More than this, the interesting point in Cambodia is history. Cambodia is a country in mainland Southeast Asia, and Cambodia as well has gone through countless eras since the Khmer people were born in the land of Savanapum that we call prehistory of Cambodia. Prehistory of Cambodia divided into three eras. The first era we call Bronze Stone Age, that start from 600,000 years to 12,000 years before Christ. And the second era we call Neolithic Age, that start from 8,000 years to 2,000 years before Christ. And the last era of prehistory of Cambodia we call Metal Age, that start from 2,000 years to 100 years before Christ. After that, we have been living in many eras more after Christ. The first era of Christ we call Funon, that start from 1st century to 6th century and ruled by a lot of powerful kings and queens such as Queen Liu Yi, King Hun Tien, and other kings and queens more. In this era was really interesting and especially increased in all sections. After that, we have been living in Jinla era, that start from 6th century to 9th century of Christ and made by King Varman II. In this era, our country has divided into two parts. The first part we call Inland Jinla and the second part we call Flat Jinla. And the next, we have been living in Angkor Empire and Angkor eras. Maybe all of you guys that watch me really wonder about this point. Why we have Angkor Empire and Angkor era like this? Angkor Empire start from 9th century to 13th century, 802 to 1218. In Angkor Empire made by Jayavarman II and ruled by a lot of powerful kings, such as Suryavarman II, Jayavarman VII, and other kings more. In Angkor Empire was very glorious, process in all areas, and especially all the people that live in Angkor Empire was very happy every time. But we will speak all together in the end of Angkor era in 1431, so that's why we divide into two parts like this, in Angkor Empire and in Angkor era. After Angkor Empire and Angkor era, we have been living in Chatamok era as well, that start from 1431 to 1516 and made by King Punyayat. In this era as well, Phnom Dun Penh was born. And the fifth era of our country we call Long Wait period, that start from 1516 to 1620. After that, we have been living in Udong period, that start from 1620 to 1863. After Udong period, all the Cambodian people have to live hard altogether because we met in French colonization, which lasts 90 years, start from 1863 to 1953 to end this era. We have independence on 9 November and 1953. We always hold a ceremony to commemorate this day every year also. During the French colonization, we met in Japan colony as well, that start from 1941 to 1945. After that, we have been living in Singkom that ruled by the king Norodom Sihanouk, that start from 1953 to 1970. In this era was full of happiness and very glory. After that, we met in Khmer Republic, that start from 1970 to 1975. All the people that live in this era have to live hard all together. After that, we met in diplomatic Cambodia, which lasts 3 years, 8 months and 20 days to end this era, that start from 1975 to 1979. All the people have to live in extreme misery by all kinds of oppression, labor, and also kills a lot of people. We have victory and independence on 7 January and 1979. We always hold a ceremony to commemorate this day every year as well. After diplomatic Cambodia, we met in People's Republic of Cambodia, that start from 1979 to 1989. After that, we met in State of Cambodia, that start from 1989 to 1993. But during the State of Cambodia, we met in UNTA as well, that start from 1992 to 1993. And the last era of our country, that start from 1993 until now, we call Kingdom of Cambodia. Nowadays, all of the Cambodian people always make a lot of happiness and also growing fastest and especially have fun every time as well. Besides of this, the interesting point in Cambodia is food. We have a lot of food in our country that we can attract all of the tourists all over the world want to taste our food really much, such as amok, Nomanchok, and Samlokoko. The first amok. Amok sometimes we call country nationalities and might be the one most familiar to tourists. All the tourists all over the world that come to visit Cambodia, they really want and they always try to taste this food every time also. After amok, we have Samlokoko. Samlokoko has a better claim to being the true nationalities of Cambodia. It has been eaten of hundreds of years, and until now, all of the people that live in the countryside and live in the city, they really like this food really much, and they always make it to eat every day in their house as well. And the last popular food in Cambodia is Nomanchok. Nomanchok is beloved Cambodian dish. In English, sometimes we call Khmer noodle as well. It's a typical breakfast food, and all the people really like this food really much. If you want to buy Nomanchok, you can buy from a woman who always hanging from a pole balanced on her shoulder. Another interesting point in Cambodia is nature. We have a lot of nature in our country, such as lake, waterfall, mountain, forest, and so on. The popular lake in Cambodia is the Lake Sap Lake, which passes through 5 provinces that provides a lot of water for crop supply, abundant fish, and flat forest as well. Also, we have a lot of waterfall in all the provinces in Cambodia as well, such as Kulen Waterfall, Busra Waterfall, and other popular waterfall more. After that, we have a lot of mountains in our country also, and the highest mountain in Cambodia is Mount Oral, that has 1813 meters. And the last, we have forests, which are besides for wildlife and also help us to attract rain as well. The next interesting point in Cambodia is temple. We have a lot of temples in our country that can make our economy run smoothly. All of those temples was built by the unique work of the king from previous generation. Now, I want to pick up 4 temples that really interesting and can attract all of the tourists all over the world want to visit our country really much, such as Angkor Wat Temple, Bayon Temple, Taprom Temple, and Bantisray Temple. The first, Angkor Wat Temple. Angkor Wat Temple is the most popular temple in Cambodia, which is exquisitely designed with beautiful carving and built by sandstone and laterite. Angkor Wat Temple was built in the 12th century that started from 1113 to 1150 by the King Suryavarman II. It is one of the great cultural wonders in the world. Angkor Wat is the largest religious monument in the world, with size measuring 162.6 meters. All of the original religious motifs derived from the Hinduism, and the temple was dedicated to the god Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu. Until 1992, the Angkor complex was at Angkor Wat that signed the World Heritage in the World, signed by the UNESCO, and was immediately added into the list of the World Heritage in the World on 14 December 1992 as well. After Angkor Wat, we have Bayon Temple. Bayon Temple stands at the center of Jayavarman VII's capital, Angkor Thom. Bayon Temple was built in the late of 12th century and in the early of 13th century by the King Jayavarman VII to worship Buddhism. The Bayon is most distinctive feature is the multitude of giant and smiling stone face on many towers, which jut out from the upper terrace and cluster around its central peak. The Bayon is also the last state temple that was built in Angkor. And the next we call Taprom Temple. Taprom is about the name of the temple in Cambodia. Taprom Temple was built in the late of 12th century and in the early of the 13th century by the King Jayavarman II also. The jungle is literally goes through the middle of the temple, which adds intrigue and wonder to this amazing sight. It gets very crowded here, and the best time to visit Taprom Temple is in the early morning. And the last interesting temple in Cambodia is Bantisray Temple. Bantisray Temple was built in 10th century by the King Rajendra Varman II that dedicated to Hinduism god Shiva. The special charm of this temple lies in a remarkable state of preservation, small size, and excellent decoration. It's often said that Bantisray Temple is jewel of my art because of all its intricate carving. Until now, all of these temples always attract more and more tourists all over the world who want to visit here altogether. After that, the interesting point in Cambodia is character. Cambodian people always polite, smile, and friendly. Cambodians have been described superstitious, passive, patient, and resourceful. They live simply, eat simply, dress simply, and are said to be swayed easily by rumor and hearsay. All Cambodians are remarkably kind, open, and cheerful visitors. They have a strongly developed sense of courtesy and hearsay. They always open-minded and helpful every time. All of the Cambodian people always try hard with their work and hardworking also. Another interesting point in Cambodia is culture. The culture of Cambodia has had a rich and varied history dating back many centuries and has been heavily influenced by India. Throughout Cambodia has long history, major source of inspiration was from religion. Cambodia has also developed a unique belief from Indian religion of Hinduism and Buddhism and also include language as well. In Cambodia, we also have many royal dances that represent for national identity of Cambodia. And the last interesting point in Cambodia is traditional. We decide traditional into two parts. The first part traditional that related to clothes, and the second part traditional that related to our celebration of Cambodia. So right now, I want to tell all of you guys about traditional that related to clothes. We have a lot of traditional clothes in our country, but I want to pick up only 3 clothes that most popular in our country, such as Samput Hol, Sarong, and Kroma. The first Samput Hol. Samput is a traditional dress of Cambodia, which dress is origin back to the 1st century. This traditional dress has survived up to date despite the rollercoaster-like history of CB. It is a long piece of cloth, rectangle in shape, which is wrapped around the lower part of your body. The length of Samput is usually 5 to 6 feet. The second one is Kroma. Kroma is signature fabrics of the country of Cambodia. Kroma also a check scarf, which won over the neck while posing for pictures, roaming both the rural and urban parts of Cambodia. It also won over a head in the case of the farmers that live in the countryside. Typically, kroma is made by mouth and white square, but nowadays, due to increasing public interest. And the last traditional dress of Cambodia is sarong. Sarong is a long flowing piece of fabric which wraps around the waist. It is soft and comfortable and also has colorful. In Cambodia, sarong is used mostly for the people in the middle age and for the older people that live in the rural area. Especially for the people that live in the countryside, they really like to wear it really much. On the other hand, the traditional of Cambodia is related to the celebration of Cambodia. We have a lot of celebration in our country, such as Victory Day 7 January, Khmer New Year, Chumban Water Festival, National Independence Day November 9. So right now I will tell you one by one of each celebration in Cambodia. The first, Victory Day 7 January. We always make this celebration every year to commemorate the Victory Day and the Independence Day from the democratic Cambodia era. We always make this ceremony on 7 January every year. And the second one is Khmer New Year. Khmer New Year is the greatest national holiday that has 3 days and sometimes can be 4 days. Khmer New Year begins on 13 or 14 of April. That the first day we call Moha Sangkran, the second day we call Vanabat, and the last day we call Langsa. All of the Cambodian people always bring food to the monks all of 3 days of Khmer New Year. The next one is Chumban. Chumban is a Cambodian 15-day religious festival. This festival begins in September or October. The date is a time which all of the Cambodian people pay their respect to deceased relatives of up to 7 generations. Another festival is National Independence Day, 9 November. We always make this celebration every year to commemorate the day that we have independence from French colonization. So we always make this celebration every year on 9 and November. And the last festival in our country we call Water Festival that begins on November every year. This celebration takes place over 3 days. The biggest celebrations are along the Tonle Sap River in front of Royal Palace in Phnom Penh. This celebration made to commemorate the victory of the Navy. In conclusion, Cambodians always have a lot of interesting points to attract all of the tourists all over the world, such as living, nature, character, temple, history, food, culture, traditional, and so on. So, as we are Cambodian people, we must be determined to work hard to help preserve the heritage and promote Khmer more widely. Also, as we are a student, we must hardworking, try to study hard, and also strengthen our capacity to be the highest, to help our country and make our country to be increased and develop our country to be the developed country in the future also. So now I finished my presentation. I have shared a lot of opinion and share a lot of ideas that related to this topic to all of you guys already. If you have more idea or if you have more opinion that related to my topic, please you comment down below this video and then can make myself to know about your opinion and your idea more. And especially, I would like to say thank you to all of you guys so much that you spending your best time and pay attention to listening about my presentation video from start until the end like this. Wish all of you guys have good health, happiness, lucky, and try to study hard all together. Meet me again for my next presentation video for the next time.